welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vic, V or Vat, these three. But welcome to Just Breathe V. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a video that's about a TV series called Surface that premiered on Apple TV 2 years ago. The synopsis of the show is basically about a young woman who loses her long-term memory when she decides to commit suicide by jumping off of a boat, a large boat at that, in San Francisco, California, and was executive produced by the main character, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, an English actress and executive producer. And she co-stars with James Ellis, who plays her husband in the show. His real name is Oliver Jackson Cohen, who's another English actor who's played in a plethora of films that we know today. Right now, I really want to give you guys not just only a synopsis, but I want to talk to you guys and give my opinion on the first episode of Surface. Other characters, secondary characters, which would be James's best friend Harrison and Sophie's best friend Caroline. Go ahead and tell you guys now, I do not like Harrison. Harrison is a problem child, and I'm just going to say it and keep it 100. He's a grown man that acts like a child, a grown man that can't control his emotions or feelings, and a grown man that has very manipulative, and has beef with his best friend's wife because he just doesn't like her. He also felt like she was just using him, when in actuality, as you continue to watch this show, you'll realize that Sophie does have a mental health disorder. Now, moving along to Sophie's best friend Caroline. Caroline's character in the show is pretty interesting to me because there was a point when she was one of the friends that really stuck around Sophie even after the coma. And when she came back and she didn't really remember who she was or anything long term, she didn't remember. By Sophie, like, stood by her best friend and loved her best friend no matter what. And she, even though she did hide some things from her at first, she did eventually end up telling the truth. She came clean, and they were able to stay friends throughout the duration of the season and hopefully the duration of the show. There's so many questions that Sophie starts to ask just in the beginning of the show, because she's just waking out of a coma. She's just getting back to her life with her husband, with James, and going back to the hospital to work, because she worked at a hospital for a little bit. And it's just a lot. So it's just like, she's asking questions like, who am I? If my life was so perfect, why did I end it? And that's a quote that she said verbatim from the show. Season 1, episode 1. If my life was so perfect, why did I want to end it? And I thought that was really profound because she said that to her therapist, Hannah, which is played by actress Marianne Jean-Baptiste. And the therapist, I'm just going to be honest, her therapist in the show is kind of blunt. And I like that, but then I didn't like it. Because it's like, you know that this person is going through like a psychosis, psychotic break. You know this person is probably going through some type of mental health issue or disorder. And people that go through that, just speaking from personal experience, people who have anxiety, people who have depression, or people who, in her case, don't remember anything at all, and I can't relate to that at all. I've never been through that before. But people who have come out of a coma, or just by common sense and just analyzing situations, you could say that you will want to be more delicate with said person with their life. They'll probably, in some cases, they lose long-term memory loss and short-term memory loss. And imagine the agony and pain of the family and friends of that person who they know and love, and that person doesn't remember anything about them. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the therapist, Hannah, they could have made maybe a little more concerned, and she was concerned, but she was very blunt and kind of rude with certain things to me. Even though it was the truth, there's always a way you can say, why am I still here? Did I get pushed? And that's another element that does come out in the show later on. Things that I'm not a medical expert or a medical professional at all, by no means necessary. I have a degree in journalism, strategic media. But just by watching people and just by having people in my family and my significant other who works in the medical field, it's crazy to know and to see how mental health impacts patients, and not only patients, but people in general. The first episode also contained a specific young man, and that young man's name is Thomas Braden, played by actor Stephen James. And to say the most, he is stalking Sophie. Thomas is adamantly trying to find and to get Sophie back in a way. Let's just say that Thomas and Sophie, before she had her coma and tried to commit suicide, let's just say that they were in a romantic relationship while Sophie was married to James and is still currently married to James. So that's a whole nother tangent in and of itself. I'm not going to go into further details about that romantic relationship. I remember in the first episode, she doesn't remember him at all. She's at a bar with her friends, specifically Caroline, and they're asking, hey, do you know that guy? Because he keeps staring at you. And it's like, no, I don't think so. And then she walks outside, and he starts talking to her. It's like, hey, you know, basically, do you remember me and everything? He's like, no, I don't remember you. And they have a conversation, and he's basically trying to tell her that your husband's not what it seems, is not telling you everything. He's not what he seems to be, etc., etc. And he ends up dropping this empty matchbox in her purse that has a bar name on the top of it. It's a logo. So she holds on to it, and of course she's desperate because she's trying to piece together the pieces of the puzzle of her life. Like, this is like trauma 101 when you forget everything. Like, you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And sometimes when you see people that recognize you, in this case, this person recognized her, she didn't recognize him. In that case, she's going to scramble at whatever to try to figure out, who am I? What's going on? Why did I do what I did? And in essence, it can lead to goodness or badness. So there is way more to this episode than meets the eye. But at the same token, I really want to go ahead and give you some of the things that I really enjoyed in the show and some of the things that I could have particularly dealt with, but not, if I had a choice, would not have to deal with. And that personally would have been Harrison's character, like I've already discussed with you guys. Harrison is a butthole, and I wish him the worst in the show because he gets very defensive and angry and agitated and in his feelings when people try to tell him about himself. And it's just like, dude, get your own life. Stop putting yourself in other people's business. I think it was Thomas Braden's character as well. I didn't like how in the show he's characterized, and to just give you in context, he's a black man, an African-American man, who is going after a black woman who is in an interracial marriage. You know, like, just to be honest with you, I really enjoyed that dynamic. I like the dynamic, but the only thing that I would say that can make like our culture as black Americans look bad is that they sometimes always choose the homewrecker to be black, you know? And it's kind of disheartening and kind of sad because it's like, first of all, I believe in the sanctity of marriage. And second of all, why have the homewrecker essentially be someone that is a marginalized group of people, and we're already stereotyped as it is for being cheaters and liars and loud and obnoxious. So, and they made Thomas Braden to be a police officer. He was an undercover police officer who was trying to essentially get Sophie back in a relationship, even though she was married to James Ellis. And it didn't sit right with me. Like, I wasn't rooting for Sophie and Thomas's relationship. I just really wasn't, because I really wanted Sophie and James to make it work. I'm a big proponent of like healthy and not perfect, but healthy marriages. And their marriage was nowhere near perfect. You see that later on in the show. But it just doesn't sit right. I know that it's all used for suspense and for the plot, and to develop a character and develop a story. I just wish they had made, if they were going to have Sophie cheat, have her cheat with somebody else, essentially. And I hope that doesn't come off rude. I know that may be a controversial statement to say or to make, but it just didn't sit right. Like, I wasn't rooting for Thomas and Sophie. I was always rooting for James and Sophie. And maybe that's because I'm in an interracial marriage myself. My husband is Caucasian, so I don't know. But I never particularly cared for their relationship. It didn't seem forced, but it didn't seem right or healthy neither. So that's my 2 cents on that. But to conclude, I really hope that you guys watch this show. There are 8 episodes in Surface on Apple TV. If you don't have Apple TV, you can but you can, if you have a MacBook or you have a smart TV, you can easily find it on your home screen and sign up for an account and pay, I think it's like $8.99 a month or $10.99, either or. I'll put the pricing and the link to Apple TV in the description below. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed listening to me rant and rave about this newfound show that I found on Apple TV. And if you liked my content and liked this video, give it a like and a thumbs up. And if you have anything you want to say, any suggestions, video suggestions, anything that you just want to say to me, feel free to comment down below. And I just want to leave you guys with this again. Be you, do you, and love you. Bye, guys.